Let's talk about digesting carbohydrates first of all. Enzymes that break down carbohydrates are called carbohydrases. Starch is one of the most commonly consumed carbohydrates. It is broken down in the mouth and in the small intestine, where we said we have an alkaline pH. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme amylase. So amylase works in the mouth and the small intestine to break down starch. Amylase is a carbohydrate and its optimal pH is alkaline. Amylase is produced by the salivary glands, so the digestion of starch will start in the mouth. And also the pancreas produces amylase. So what happens is that the pancreas secretes amylase into the small intestine, and there amylase will meet the food again when it reaches the small intestine. And actually in the small intestine we have the most of the digestion of starch. As for the digestion of proteins, the breakdown of proteins is catalyzed by protease enzymes. Proteases are produced by the stomach, the pancreas, and the small intestine. The breakdown of proteins into amino acids happens in the stomach and the small intestine, of course not in the pancreas. The enzymes that are secreted by the pancreas are secreted into the small intestine. So, of course, the proteases that are produced by the stomach and that will work on proteins in the stomach will have an acidic optimal pH, whereas the enzymes that are produced by the pancreas and the small intestine and will work on food in the small intestine have an alkaline pH because that is the medium of the small intestine. As for digesting fats, the lipids that you eat are broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, their simple constituents, in the small intestine. The reaction is catalyzed by lipase enzymes, which are made in the pancreas and in the small intestine, and of course act in the small intestine where we have an alkaline pH. Now, we've been talking about pHs and optimal pHs. Pepsin is a protease that works on proteins in the stomach. So, of course, it is going to have an optimal pH that is acidic because the medium of the stomach is acidic. So we see here the optimum pH of pepsin is around maybe 2.5, which is acidic. And now if you look at pancreatic amylase, which is the amylase that acts on starch, secreted by the pancreas. So if we look at the relative activity of pancreatic amylase, it is highest at a pH of 8. That is the optimal pH for pancreatic amylase, which makes sense because the place where it acts is the small intestine, where we have an alkaline pH. So what's next? Once food is completely digested into simple and soluble glucose, fatty acids, glycerol, and amino acids, the simple and soluble absorbable constituents, they will leave your small intestine into the bloodstream by absorption. Your bloodstream will then carry them around the body and deliver them to the cells that need them. And that is how we digested our complex and insoluble food into simple, soluble nutrients that can be absorbed by the bloodstream and taken to the cells that need them in the body.